Thank you. So I want to share why I think connection is so important, how I found connection, and then what I do with it. The tale begins with this 11-year-old version of me. So when this picture was taken, I still believed that the world generally made sense and that the adults knew what they were doing. But it was about this time that this was shaken. So I learned what an amazing protective duvet the ozone layer is, but also that we're taking part in breaking it down. And I took to arms when given a free topic to write an essay on, and I wrote about this new discovery. And I wasn't naive in my strategy. I followed up written word with lobbying my classmates to get their friends or their parents to buy Freon-free fridges. See, that was what I thought to be the extent of the problem. And I figured that if the adults had overseen the Freon-ozone connection, all I needed to do was to make them aware of the slip, and together we would work on rectifying it and get the world back on track. It has taken me 20 years to accept that that's not the type of common sense that the world really is burdened with. And still now, I have a fundamental bewilderment about why, with all of our combined talent, we keep on having a negative effect on the planet. Could this, at least to some extent, be down to that the systems we've created are very complex, and it requires quite a bit of study to get your head around international trade, property rights, or climate change? A good old tool, the common sense, is practically useless when comprehending these phenomena, but also in relating them to our everyday lives, or relating the other way back, how our everyday decisions impact more widely. Now, it might be worth emphasizing now that I think it's a good idea to connect more closely worldwide through trade, travel, digital means or whatnot, but also that this global perspective afforded to more of us could be used to do more. Could we possibly decomplex some of our systems and allow some transparency in and enable conscious decision-making on an everyday basis? So, as you can hear, this 11-year-old we saw before still poses her high demands. And while I've been really paralyzing myself through trying to carry the world's weight on my shoulders, luckily, life had other plans. And many other things have happened. One of them was that I met and befriended some young Greeks. Now, that was a friendship that took a slightly different turn when crisis hit Greece 5 years ago. It became very hard to make your way as a young professional in Athens. And the media spoke of a city exodus when many moved to their rural ancestral homes as a part of losing their livelihoods in the city. And certainly that's what happened to my friends. And suddenly there were the villages living side by side with yesterday's city dwellers. But they took to the work they still had and helped taking care of the land for the rest. And that's how, a couple of years back, I was invited down to help out in the olive harvest. This is late November, and we spent dawn till dusk in the fields. And at the end of each day, we went to the local cooperative press with our yields. And I had the best time ever. And of course, and objectively, we made the best olive oil ever. And as I was enjoying my newfound calling as an olive oil maker, slowly the paralysis began to vaporize as I understood what the connection was with the bigger picture. My connection with olive oil had changed. Now that I had experienced the process behind it myself, I appreciated the effort that went into it, and I was fascinated with how the family saw themselves as stewards of the land and trees. And what's more, if I, who live in the city, can go to Greece, make olive oil, and connect with the producers and the process behind the product, wouldn't that be something that others would want to experience too? So could we connect these Mr. Regular guys with the people who do their stuff and have some kind of interaction with maybe these Mr. Regular guys who sit at the other end of the chain? You could learn a lot, but you could also introduce these young Londoners to the idea that good stuff does not have to be inclusive or exclusive. That's the important bit. and encourage them to engage with maybe the family in rural Greece. And the game is really open for skill sharing and interaction based on decomplexed human relationships. So the initiative that emerged sings along with contemporary ideas like collaborative consumption or the producer-consumer discourse. This one focuses on creating personal connection worldwide through using the products that we buy as a way to connect people and digital means to allow small players in. My initiative is Pride and Produce, and it's recently established to connect some of these very skilled but somewhat isolated craftsmen with a wider community. And on the consumer side, it allows you to meet the producers, to learn their trade, and produce something yourself. We're very early stage, but we've run a test with the olive farmers with 3 possible levels of engagement. The first one being with the products, which you could simply buy online, but you can also suggest variations or innovation. And we, for instance, had a pastry maker who was asking for infusions. And the producers can respond directly and take on ideas. Second level is with the producers, whom you can meet, talk to, visit. An example there is a management consultant who was buying the oil, absolutely loved it, and offered up some advice on the business aspects. And third level is participation in the process. And here you see Troels from Copenhagen taking it up with an olive tree last November when he was a part of the first cohort to come down to the producers to lend a hand and learn how olive oil is made. And this test has been tremendously well received. And that's why we're following the same pattern to connect other small producers who really know their stuff but are somewhat isolated. Next up is a clockmaker in Denmark and lace knitters on the Faroe Islands. And we are talking to a women collective in Morocco producing cosmetic argan oil, wood carvers in Thailand, and cotton weavers in Bangladesh. And with local entrepreneurs in Mexico, Argentina, Brazil, and Colombia about how we can help South American artisans build on their particular heritage while still being open for innovation and engagement. Or in sub-Saharan Africa, many of the conversations are around allowing the artisans to keep the full value chain of the products in their hands and deliver a product that's finished and they're proud of. And then we have our work with some amazing explorers in Andalusia and also some growers in southern France and potters in northern Spain. With them, we're trying to narrow in what products it actually is we can help them with. Then we will tell the story. Next up then comes logistics and programming of the engagement. And that's what's happening at the moment with our bell pepper fermenters in Croatia, the family farm in Turkey, and beekeepers come biscuit bakers in the Slovenian Alps. So that's the overview of the current network of artisans. And just to recap what it is that I do, it is to find them, tell the story, and then help them connect with people like you guys and facilitate these various levels of engagement so that people from London can meet with all of them. And the same can people from Seattle or Yekaterinburg or Adelaide. And who's to say that the connection couldn't go the other way around as well, from farm to fork, so to speak, or amongst the artisans. So that is the vision. And this is a journey where I explore the opportunity of backtracking your consumption, meeting the producers, and influence the product going forward. And it never fails to amaze me with what amazing insight the producers go about their work and how open they are to sharing that. And I take my hat off for them as valuable custodians of both their cultural and environmental heritage. These guys have already taught me a lot, and they're willing and able to do so to anyone who wants to learn. So I encourage all of you to explore and investigate the extraordinary stories behind our most ordinary products and connect however you feel inspired to. Thank you.